Good morning, everyone. So happy to be with you this morning. Welcome to our Mind the Moment Tuesday morning mindfulness gathering, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. This is a place where we invite really highly experienced mindfulness instructors to talk with us about what mindfulness means to them, and also discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. And I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino. I am delighted to be here with Rebecca Wing.
Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning. Good morning. Rebecca's a licensed clinical professional counselor, longtime meditator, and mindfulness instructor. I'm so happy to have her here with us this morning. So today we'll start off with a question for the group to get everybody chatting. And then Rebecca will lead us in a guided meditation practice and share some thoughts with us. So, and then after that, we'll have some time for questions. If you go to your chat at the bottom of the screen, if you're interested, click panelists and attendees, and you can see all the comments from everybody that has joined us this morning. So it looks like we have a great group this morning. So happy to have everyone here. And let's just kick it off with a question, Rebecca.
Okay, so the question this morning, to sort of set up our meditation practice, is what's it like to let go and relax into this present moment? And so just even taking a moment to let that answer arrive. What's it like to let go and relax into this present moment?
Someone has already mentioned that it's a healing feeling. Someone's finding it challenging this morning.
I hear you, Tammy.
Yeah, often a relief, sometimes a challenge. Someone also felt like it was quite a challenge. Yeah, it's it can take some time too.
It's that process of slowly letting go. And I think, as we let the busyness of the morning fall away and we try to sort of decide, okay, I'm just going to table anything that I need to do next after this. And I'm going to do the best I can to, really rest and let go of however my morning went. And it's sort of that aspect of recognizing that the past is already done and the future hasn't happened yet. Can I just relax right now and give myself permission to let go? Yeah, very, very powerful practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone's mentioned trying to get focused. Always a challenge, but very calming and necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a challenge after rushing out of the house. You go from 0 to 60 and then 60 to 0. I guess that's the tricky part.
So this morning, we can consider this as being the gap between rushing and getting ready for whatever you're doing for the rest of the day and doing whatever it is you're doing for the rest of the day. And we'll be talking about resting in the gap during the meditation this morning. Should we go ahead, Suzanne, and jump in? Okay. So as always, find a posture that's upright and comfortable for you. And one of the things to explore, especially if you're sitting in an office chair, is if it feels more comfortable to consider aligning the spine by scooching to the edge of the chair a little bit so that your back actually isn't leaning against the chair. And the reason for that is because it allows us to be a little bit more attentive and a little bit more awake when we meditate. So explore as you find that posture, whatever works for you. Maybe a nice deep breath just to drop in. And we're going to make that decision to rest the managing mind and arrive with gentle curiosity into this present moment. Take a moment to notice the body, where you might be able to soften, so that I'm upright, but also at ease, allowing my face, shoulders to soften. And explore softening the belly. So often in the course of a busy series of moments and minutes, our belly starts to contract. And so that softening of the belly can be a way of resting in this present moment. And explore how the breath might interact with the soft belly. Drawing the belly in as we exhale and allowing the belly to rise when we breathe in. The belly draws in on the exhale and rises a bit on the inhale. Soft rise and fall of belly and breath. Picture your mind like a blue sky. Imagine the sky being there, spacious, open. And any thought that arises is a passing cloud, here and then gone. Or perhaps a bird that flies just past your view, resting in the rise and fall of breath and sky-like mind. Emotions can pass through the sky as well. Acknowledge and recognize those passing events: restlessness, tiredness, anticipation, all passing through the blue sky awareness and resting into breath. broaden your awareness to other senses that are arising right now. The sounds, the sense of the light coming through the eyes, the physical sensation of sitting in the chair, the coming and going of thoughts, all passing phenomenon. Rest in that blue sky awareness and simply watch the coming and going of all phenomenon. Always resting in breath. If you get too far out, relax in that spacious awareness. For the last part of the practice, let go of all of it and just allow yourself to rest, not doing much of anything, just resting. As we end the practice, take your time, drawing in a deeper breath, moving the hands and feet. Certainly helpful to take a nice stretch this morning as we end the practice.
Thank you, Rebecca.
You're very welcome.
So nice to have this extra time where we're practicing more during these sessions. It was
Yeah.
really,
I think that's one of the things about, even a 12-minute meditation, the biggest aspect, I think, of meditation, formal meditation practice, is really giving yourself permission to relax. Seems so simple, doesn't it? And yet we tend to, oftentimes as Americans, we have this striving energy around meditating, that we're supposed to hunker down and do it right. And that process of spacious sky-like mind, that the comes from this awareness that when you learn to relax the mind and rest the mind while also being awake, of course, that's the big thing. So I'm awake, but I'm relaxed. Then we get into this sort of exploration of that boundless sort of spacious arising between the thoughts. So they call that, being in between, resting in the gap is what they call that. And I wanted to share with you this picture, because I think sometimes, if you want to enable document sharing, if you can, Suzanne, I wanted to share with you some of the ideas of what it means to rest in sky-like mind, because I think oftentimes, that's a pretty, I don't know, abstract way of thinking of it. But anytime your mind is into these places of really stopped or stilled, we all have those moments. So you could think of it, next time you sneeze, notice what happens to your thoughts, because actually there's no thinking when you sneeze. It's actually a gap. I think in many traditions, that's why we say some kind of like bless you. The old tradition is that you do that because you don't want your soul to leave your body when you sneeze. So they bring you back by saying bless you. And so this aspect of the mind stopping and there being a gap between thoughts and emotions happens every day in other ways as well. So just the other day, I was driving down the highway, and it was a cloudy, gray day, and it was just sunset, and the sun broke through the horizon and lit the trees along the turnpike in such a way that in that moment I was completely stopped, mentally stopped, because of the incredible beauty of the sun illuminating the trees. That's spacious mind. That is an absence of thought. And so the more in practice we learn how to do that, the more likely we are to recognize it, not only during meditation, but also when we're just living our daily life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enabled you to share your screen.
Thanks. Yeah, I've got this statue in my living room made by a wonderful artist, Elizabeth Ostrander, who lives in Blue Hill, Maine. And I like this sculpture because now normally in meditation, your head wouldn't tilt to the side and up like that, but it sort of represents a quality of that deeply relaxed awareness, that ability to open to that broad, transparent, timeless mind. And so it doesn't mean that it's a one and done deal. It's more of, I'm watching different phenomenon rise and fall all around me, within me, emotions, body sensations, sounds, light, air, and then my breath. And so we get to this place of understanding that in the midst of all of that arising, there can be this spaciousness, this stillness, sort of being at the sitting in the sky, in a sense. Sometimes I like to think of myself as the sky, or being in the sky as another level of spacious awareness. And there's another cartoon that one of my students sent me that I thought was really kind of interesting. This is Pfeiffer, who's you don't call it comics. What do you call it now? That kind of drawing. Anyway, an artist.
Graphic artist.
Yeah, graphic artist. And so this is another sort of potential, image that explores that state that can really feel in a lot of ways quite blissful or quite boundless in awareness. So it's a really good aspect of encouraging the imagination, because that's what we have to really engage in with these kinds of practices. What would it be like to be the blue sky and simply watch the rising and falling of all phenomenon as birds that fly by or clouds that come and go? And so these are qualities that are how and in what way we can bring to our meditation practice versus striving to silence our thoughts or be happy, or I don't know whatever it is that you sometimes kind of clamp down around about what you want to happen in meditation. And so this aspect and the theme this month around appreciation, when you get done a meditation practice, really do the best you can to acknowledge that whatever and however you notice things arising in your meditation practice, that it's a job well done, because there is no such thing as a good or a bad meditation. The act of actually practicing is a success. So this is that continual re-encouraging and acknowledging of self, that job well done. Nice job, my dear. Let's get on with our day. Here we go, after you get done your meditation.
Right. Yeah, that's something that we don't always do for ourselves. So I think that's a good reminder.
Yeah.
As you were talking about being in that state, that state of rest and really feeling like you are completely in the present moment, I wonder if folks can share, if they can think back to a time that you were in that state, and maybe what were you doing? Maybe rather than meditating, was there something else in your daily life that you really felt like you were in that flow, or felt like you really were soaking in the present moment?
Yeah, because it's oftentimes it can be sort of peak experiences or experiences in nature frequently as well, because it really brings us to that present moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's exactly what someone said, going for a walk in nature.
Yeah. Singing, yes. Being a musician, and I totally appreciate that. Yes.
Absolutely. Immersed in nature by the ocean or in the mountains, sitting next to a body of water, nature outside in the snow, a full body stretch. Seeing a shooting star burn across the sky. Wow.
Yeah, that's a mind stopper. Yes, indeed.
Feeling the crisp, cold air on my face and watching the sunrise.
Yeah.
Oh, I love all of those.
And so one of the things that I would encourage all of you to do is get better at remembering those, and also continually acknowledging them even when they're happening, so that we're rehearsing these states. The more familiar and the more often we notice them, because they happen more than you would imagine. Just the smell of the coffee that as you bring it to your lips can be a gap between thoughts. Very, very often, more subtle you become, the more you realize there's actually that's going on more than you think.
Yeah, absolutely. I know something that came to mind when I was thinking of that question is just, when I would go downhill skiing and I would have my last run, and I felt like, you know what, I really want to take this in. So I just feel like I'm immersed in that experience, just trying to, I think it's a little bit of grasping too, but I find that I'm really trying to make that moment last.
Yes. I find that when I'm walking my dog, we have this route that we go where the sun is to my back. I usually go at noon this time of year so that I can get full sun. And not until I round this corner, and then suddenly the sun's right at us. And in that moment, that's sort of part of a informal practice for me during the day, where I just drop into seeing the sun there, feeling it on my face, and just resting in that, even though I'm walking the dog. So any of those times, especially if you have a routine where that kind of thing happens regularly for you. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this
Absolutely.
aspect, I think the real quality that we're trying to sort of get familiar with is something other than what we would call the striving mind or the grasping mind or the evaluating mind. You know, so often when we're in states of rest or beauty or um, relaxed awareness, the mind still kind of wants to evaluate, is interested in sort of, is this what it is? Is this right? Or how do I do this? And I'll give you an example. I was hiking in the Himalayas with my sister and her husband, who's he's an engineer, and so very clear mind, very strong mind. And so we'd be like rounding the vista in this, the Himalayas would just like open up, the sun would come out. And the first thing my brother-in-law would be saying is, well, you see that stream coming down the mountain there? That'd be a great hydro plant place to get energy from. And I'm just like basically in this mind stop place. And he's completely moved into this analytical sort of expression in his mind of the environment around him. And it was such a good reminder for me that, okay, yeah, there are times when we do and can fall into the evaluative mind, the judging mind, and that sometimes, however, it takes away from present moment awareness and dropping into that spacious attentiveness.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
I learned to drop to the back of the hiking line because I couldn't take the talking. I love my brother-in-law dearly, but I just had to go into the spacious quietness from that hike.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. It's nice to have the quiet, especially in that beautiful environment.
Indeed.
Well, on that note, we must head to the end of our session. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for sharing your thoughts and your practice with us. It's
My
really,
pleasure.
really nourishing for all. Just want to share a couple opportunities for folks to stay in touch. We'll be back here on Thursday at 8:30, so please join us with Tara Healy. We'll be back with her and looking forward to that. And join us on our website for virtual fitness classes, yoga and Zumba, as well as wellness webinars. And also check us out on mindful.org for pain management resources, both in English and in Spanish. Uh, like us on Facebook and join and check us out there to see what's the different happenings on our Facebook page. And finally, on our YouTube page, you can see this session, older sessions, and then some research. Tara's done some interviews with research scientists in the field on our YouTube page. Just a reminder as well to go to the video tab on the YouTube page to see the videos. And so thank you again, Rebecca, for joining us and for leading us in this wonderful meditation.
Yeah,
And
so good to be with you all. And I wish you all a day filled with moments of relaxed awareness. How's that?
that sounds wonderful. We can all try for that. And I think that's a great goal. So thank you again. And we hope to see you on Thursday. Thanks
And
for joining.
bye, everybody.
Bye.